eyes on Gaza!
All eyes on Gaza!
All eyes on West Bank!
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 Alright, thank you so much everybody for coming out tonight! Today, everybody should be proud of continuing to come out to stand here on these steps in solidarity with the Palestinians, with the Lebanese people, with the Iranians under Israel's bombs, facing Israel's genocide, experiencing settler violence, campaigns of terror in the West Bank, simply for being born in a region that our imperialist politicians, the people who run our world, want to occupy, want to invade, and want to pillage. Shame! So we're here today to stand with those people. My name is Renee. I'm one of the conveners of Students for Palestine here in Victoria. I'm a Lebanese woman from the south of Lebanon, from Sur, a village. I'm in the south who has resisted against Israel's violence, not just this time, not just during this war, but for decades and decades. And right now, as Israel continues its genocide, 3 years, more than 1,000 days of bombs, of starvation, of so-called ceasefire. That's what our politicians call what's going on right now. They call it a ceasefire. Shame. But we're going to hear from speakers today, people who have been part of our historic movement for justice, for liberation for the past 3 years here in Naarm, but also people who have seen that violence firsthand, who have been part of that resistance. So I'm going to pass it back over to Moaya to introduce our first speaker for today. But everybody listen to the speeches, congratulate yourselves for continuing to come out, and get ready to march, to take to the streets for a free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Gaza!
Free Gaza!
Free West Bank!
Free West Bank!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
As we witnessed in the last few weeks, Israel escalates more and more in Gaza and in the West Bank. Yesterday they killed 8 innocent people in Gaza. They bombed Al-Aqsa, Al-Shahada Al-Aqsa hospital in the middle of Gaza. They targeted a tent contained consumables and equipment for dialysis patients. How brutal is that? How disgusting is Israel doing such atrocities against innocent people? The genocide is going on. There is no stop. If you think Israel is doing any ceasefire or any stop to the killing, it's wrong. It's not happening. And we witness it not only in Palestine. We witness it in Lebanon, in Iran, in Syria. So they are not actually stopping attacking and killing innocent people everywhere in the region. Our first speaker today is Nad Farah. She's an activist for Palestine and involved in Pine Gap activism. She will come here and introduce herself better than me. So please give her our welcome.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Just going to take a second to acknowledge where we are. So we are standing on the Wurundjeri and the Nablus lands. This land was stolen. Sovereignty of these lands were never ceded, they were never surrendered. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. This always was and always will be
Aboriginal land!
The genocide against First Peoples continues today. Just 2-3 days ago we heard of yet another death in custody right here in Melbourne at a facility called DPFS. Absolute shame on the prison industrial system. It continues to genocide First Nations people. But our struggles are interlinked. I'm here to tell you about actually a very beautiful thing that happened recently. Today you're going to hear from people who have experienced so much violence and have seen it firsthand, and so have I as well. I come from Syria. My parents are from lineage of Palestine and Armenia, and we've seen genocide so much. But today, while the Palestine flag is hugging me from behind, I wanted to share with you a story of inspiration and motivation and something beautiful that happened. And so from July 18th to the 20th, 600 people from across the continent traveled to Pine Gap. 600 people from all over made their way to Alice Springs, to Mbantua, to protest and to disrupt the Pine Gap US intelligence facility. Do people know what Pine Gap is? Pine Gap is basically a US Army base where intelligence is gathered, and it is delivered directly to the US Army and then their allies, which is, you know, Israel. So basically every time there's a drone or a missile or a bomb or a fighter jet, it is getting that information from Pine Gap. Pine Gap makes us complicit in genocide in Palestine. It makes us an active participant in what is happening there. And it sits at the crux of the US-Australia alliance, which basically makes us a target as well. That's why 600 of us made it all the way there to protest this in the biggest protest at Pine Gap since 1987. It's an absolute showcase of solidarity. And not only was it, you know, random people, there were people from campaigns across the continent, from groups that have started because of what's happening in Palestine, groups that have been going for decades, or groups that started a week ago, all of us sharing what our work is and networking. And we've all decided that we want to have a national network that is focusing on anti-militarism and breaking the US-Australia alliance and putting Palestine at the heart of that as well. What was so beautiful about what happened at Pine Gap is that it was all led by this family called the Hayes family, and they're Aranda. So they are the rightful custodians of the land, of the sacred site of Pine Gap. That is a men's site to the Aranda people. And as we marched to Pine Gap, the closest that anyone has gotten in over 50 years, there was a police line in front of us. And the Hayes family, because they were supported by so many of us, were able to go through the police lines to deliver their letter to ASIO, to the CIA, to any people who exist at the Pine Gap facility. And I wanted to read a very heart-wrenching part of that letter that just shows their incredible generosity. We don't want to be feeling guilty all the time when there's bad things happening overseas to little ones. We're not the ones controlling the facility, but we feel guilty because it's coming from our land. We feel sorry for the little ones, the families, men, women, children, old people overseas and in Gaza and other places who are getting killed by the base. We are there for these families. We want these people to come to our land without of what might happen if the base gets attacked. The link between the struggles of Palestinians and First Nations people are deeply linked, and they're rooted in Indigenous sovereignty and land back. I wanted to finish by talking about media coverage of this convergence. We already know that is this going to work? Okay. We already know that Okay, I'm sorry. We already know that the media is Zionist. I think that's pretty clear to everyone by now. And even the media that is called anti-Semitic at the moment, like the ABC, are still very much controlled by the Zionist lobby. And so while the ABC actually covered the convergence, they literally didn't talk about Palestine. They stopped us talking. We mentioned the IDF. They even stopped the video of Auntie Felicity speaking when she started to speak about Gaza. And they made it just an Indigenous issue. And it is not just an Indigenous issue. This relates to Australia being complicit in overseas crimes. And I think it's really important that we start to properly look at Australia's complicity in what is happening. And that is through the Pine Gap facility, it's through AUKUS, which is costing us billions of dollars that could be going to schools and hospitals. And it's also in militarism and expanded militarism and in weapons. And so this is what I want to kind of finish with, is that was a beautiful example of what happens when we come together and put our differences aside, because let's not kid ourselves, the left is sectarian and it is so divided. But we can put these differences on the side, we can come together, and really beautiful things can happen. And this is how we continue to organize to sow the seeds that are needed for the long-term resistance that we truly need, so that we can set Palestine free, so that we can set this continent free, so that we can all have a better world for all of us together. So let's keep organizing and let's keep showing up, because we have a world to win. We'll just do a chant that's from the river to the sea, always was, always will be. Is that cool? Okay. From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
always was, always will be.
Aboriginal land.
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 Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Thanks so much for that, Nat. What a powerful message for all of us here to think about the complicity of our government. The Labor Party in Australia, all over the country, have lied and lied and lied about their connection to Israel, about their complicity in this genocide, in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of innocent people. Shame. Who here saw the investigation recently by The Shot, which exposed that the Australian government was shipping raw explosive materials to Israel? Shame! Shame, shame, shame on our government! They have lied, they have spent the last 3 years slandering us, repressing us, and intimidating people who want to stand against the worst crime we have ever witnessed. Shame on them! And an important part of our movement is coming here, standing up, not just against the horrors that we're seeing in Gaza, in Lebanon, in the West Bank, in Iran, in Syria, in Yemen, all over the region, but calling out our enemy right here in this country, our government. We want to say to them, we will never stop fighting for liberation. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who's been one of the organizers, the lead organizers of this historic movement across the country for justice and liberation. Tasneem Samak, she's a Palestinian woman. I'm an organizer with Free Palestine Coalition in Naarm.
I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respect to elders past and present. Always was, always will be.
Aboriginal land.
Always was, always will be.
Aboriginal land.
As we're hearing from all the speakers today, we are living through a very critical moment with the rise of the far right, and that has led to repercussions for Gaza, but that is also leading to repercussions for all oppressed people around the world. And it's a time for us to be really serious about what we're facing. We're facing a brutal enemy, and that is the situation in Gaza. And we've lived to see the way that a lack of solidarity can lead to exactly the kind of outcomes for the Palestinian people as we are living through now. So that's the first point that I wanted to make, that when we read the news coming out of Palestine with attacks on the West Bank, with very subjugating deals being made on behalf of the Palestinian people in Gaza, when we're looking at the occupation of Lebanon that looks like it's going to be a permanent occupation of Lebanon, and when we look at the US-Israeli war on Iran, Iran a sovereign people and a sovereign state, then that makes us question, really, how do we arrive at change? And we've attempted that by coming out to these protests week in and week out. But we've also set the bar, I think correctly, by saying that there should be sanctions. There should be a boycott, sanction and divestment movement. So the absence of sanctions, the absence of divestment, the absence of a real economic material impact has meant that Israel has executed this genocide and is expanding its war through Zionist occupation, but of course with US imperialist support, to degrade and subjugate the rights of people in the region. So this is something we could foresee. This is why we have argued for sanctions. But we've also seen the argument is not enough. And that brings us to organizing. So when we organize, we see results, and it's a time of struggle. We don't really have options. The time of appeals, the times of asking nicely are over, and they've been over. We're looking at the degradation of indigenous rights around the world, an increase in deaths in custody rather than a decrease. An increase in youth indigenous incarceration rather than a decrease. And this is how it's going to be. We've seen the ICE regime. That's an escalation. So the advance of the far right, the advance of fascism has meant serious negative impacts that will continue to go in that direction until they are met with an equal and organized force. That's how it is. I know we don't like to say that. I know we don't like to admit that. But when we actually face it and we admit it, then we see really what is this asking of us? How do we struggle against a nuclear power? How do we struggle? How do we, civilians, stand our ground? And I take inspiration from struggles in the past, such as the anti-slavery struggle, where, you know, for centuries, black people were enslaved by the white masters. And they liberated themselves, and we got to a point of abolishing slavery. And I say this to my students as well in my classroom, that when we're looking at racial progress, let's not forget, right? Let's not forget that slavery was legal. Let's not forget that colonization was the discourse of the time, that it was promoted, that it was sponsored, that it was endorsed and actively celebrated. In this nation here, founded by settler colonialism, this is a white nation that celebrated itself as white for over a century. All the way to 1975 did we abolish white Australia. Not long ago. And so the remnants of that world order is what is facing us now. The task wasn't complete. It's on us to complete it, to take it to the next step, and to commit ourselves to that. So I really appreciate all of us being here, but we really need to be serious about what it's going to take. And I'm heartbroken to see the people of Gaza having to disarm, okay? Because that disarmament comes from a position of subjugation. The people who are occupied have the right to raise arms against the occupation by international law. The people who are oppressed have the right to face their oppressor, to resist their oppressor, and to fight back against their oppressor. We need to look to the workers' movement for struggle, the workers' movement that brought us Medicare, right? When people were dying because they couldn't afford hospitals. The workers' movement that developed workers' rights because people were dying because they weren't given fair wage and shifts. Let's fight against genocides, first of all. And I really appreciate the strikes that are going on, the teachers' strikes, the nurses' strikes, the council workers, but we put the bar really high maybe when we said let's strike for Palestine, let's shut it down for Palestine, let's sanction Israel. And the absence of these sanctions, is over 60,000 deaths of my people and my family's blood and my family being under the rubble. So when I talk to the workers' movement, I have an urgent call, and I would like to see it met. I would like to see the workers' movement organized for international struggle, the way that all fascist regimes would fall, the way that the Nazis were defeated, and the way that Israel should be defeated. And down with the Zionist regime, down with US empire, down with capitalism, down with imperialism, and free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live the resistance!
Long live the resistance!
Long live the resistance!
Long live the resistance!
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tasneem. Long live the resistance, and resistance can be taken in different forms. From Najil Ali, the cartoonist, Ghassan Kanafani, the writer, the novel, and Mahmoud Darwish. Our kids in Gaza, in the West Bank, everywhere, they are resisting because they are existing. And our existence is resistance. Our prisoners always subjected to torture, systematic torture in the occupation jails. If you see Ben Kfair, the terrorist, visited Marwan Barghouthi, our leader, in his cell, threatening him. That's about a year ago. And he said, you will not be free. We will free Marwan Barghouthi.
Free, free Marwan Barghouthi!
Free, free Marwan Barghouthi.
Free, free Marwan Barghouthi!
Free, free all the prisoners.
Free, free all the prisoners!
And free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Yesterday or a day before, the same terrorist Ben Kfair visited a cell of a Palestinian prisoners. And he asked her, what do you feel? She said, what she feel inside the jail. And she complained about the torture, the quality of food, the quality of water they given to them. And he said to her, it's not a hotel. Say that to a lady in a jail. This guy has to be not only sanctioned, but his system needs to be sanctioned by Australia. And we ask the Labour Party here in Melbourne, from here in Melbourne, to sanction Israel because Israel is a terrorist state.
Sanction Israel now! Israel now! Sanction Israel!
Our next speaker is Amin Abbas. Amin Abbas is a Palestinian activist, a founder, member, and chair of the Australian Foundation for Palestinian Children, all of kids. Amin is a published writer on Palestine. Please give him our welcome.
Thank you. I would also like to start by acknowledging that we are on unceded Wurundjeri land, unceded and stolen exactly like where I come from Palestine. And there's never been time that is more consequential for this shared solidarity. It's over 1,000 days, I think 1,020 something days since this genocide of our time has started. And I don't think there's anything that can be said has not been said in many of those protests here and all over the world. Except for one thing. I don't think we've spoken enough about the plight of Palestinian children. And I'm sure all of us would agree that the atrocities that have been committed against them since October 7th, and actually probably much longer than that, much earlier than that, are unending. The recent UN report did speak a little bit about that. It actually talked about 20,000 Palestinian kids killed, 44,000 injured. And these numbers, we know for a fact, they're actually not even reflecting the true number. There's many that are still on the rubble. It actually said in that very report that this is the worst plot for the children, the worst atrocities committed against children in any modern conflict. And I think the difference is we all seen it also live, streamed in our phones throughout the last 24 days. Now, I'm going to reflect a little bit more about this particular plot of the children, particularly from an Olive Kids standpoint, because we have been working very closely with people on the ground for the last 17 years, not just the last 1,000 or so days. And what I can tell you is the situation is much worse and much grimmer than what you think. In fact, speaking of numbers, there's about 45,000 orphans that are registered with Al-Amal, our partner in Gaza, to try and get support and sponsorship. And this number, again, is not reflecting the full number of the orphans. There's about 5,000 that have been registered that lost both parents. There's about 1,000 that lost everybody. And the challenge that we face is we were trying hard, at least for these 1,000 kids that have no one, to try and help accommodate them with our partners at Al-Amal, the orphanage that we support. And we couldn't. Because the orphanage is actually full with displaced people. And those people have nowhere to go. And when I say nowhere, it's actually nowhere. So we're talking about kids that lost everybody. A lot of them that have actually lost limbs too. And they have nowhere to go. I'm sure a lot of us, and put your hand up if you've seen kids as young as maybe 3 or 4 year old with very heavy containers arching their backs to try and hold them. We all have. So at Olive Kids we tried to do a project to dig wells to really help reduce this pressure on the children. So we contacted another partner of ours on the ground. They started to organize and create the scope, contacted engineers, 2 engineers to really help us dig the wells, only for those 2 engineers to be killed in an airstrike. So even water is off limits for the Palestinian children and people of Gaza. And this extends to nearly everything. We tried to secure stationery, books. How many books do you think got into Gaza in the last 1,000 days? 0. No books, no stationery, toys, no toys, nothing. So for those people that are telling us that there's actually a ceasefire, this isn't a ceasefire. For those that tell us there's a lot of aid coming in, it isn't coming in. It's actually much worse than what you think. What I want to tell you is that this savagery and violence in fact extends beyond those squeezing borders, those yellow borders that are squeezing on their people, now living like in less 40% of historically what Gaza used to be, which was one of the most populous space on earth, even before that. Now this is also happening in the West Bank, where I come from. This week, a lot of my relatives have been contacted me to tell the world about the fact that they're getting those notices from the Israeli army, from the IDF, throughout the area of Jenin in the north of the West Bank. The Israeli army decided to build a road to connect new settlements together. So obviously the pretext was a security road. But we know there's actually 3 settlements that are being constructed in the north of the West Bank as we speak. Now those notices, the total area is about 200 dunams. But we know as soon as that road is actually built, all the areas, all the land, agricultural, small factories that are throughout this area will be wiped out because they will be deemed insecure for who? Those settlers that have been committing violent attacks on everybody, including the children. So when we're talking about this savagery, it actually continues in the West Bank. We should not really forget the West Bank. It's just as bad. I don't think it's just as bad as Gaza. Gaza is probably the worst part in anywhere, but in some areas in the West Bank, torturing people in their own houses is happening as we speak, and we should really remember that. Now, some might say or argue, oh, those roads, they should not be in Area B or, Area A. This is like these are, and in fact they are. But I honestly, personally, do not believe in any of these designations. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such a thing as Area A, B, or C. There's only one designation, and that is Palestine. Against this colonial entity that has been gobbling our land bit by bit since 1948. And honestly, the more they steal, the more land theft that happens, the more the world sees Palestine whole. It's no longer the West Bank and Gaza. We want all of Palestine, from the river to the sea. I want to leave you with three things: a story, an update, first the story. Last week I was told that I should really speak to this gentleman by the name of Dr. Izzeddin, a young doctor in Gaza. He's about 23, 24-year-old. Dr. Izzeddin was in his internship in Gaza during a Shifa siege, and I'm sure some of you would recall what happened during the siege of Shifa Hospital. So Dr. Izzeddin was doing his internship whilst his family on the outside were being wiped out, killed. His father, his siblings, his aunties, his uncles. And he could not even go out and check what is going on, what's happening, because he was locked up in Shifa Hospital. Now, Dr. Izzeddin had a choice. He could resort to despair, grief, or hope and action. Izzeddin's father's name was Samir. So Izzeddin embarked on creating a foundation, now registered in the UK, called Samir Foundation. Today, the foundation supports 100 medical students in Gaza, 10 of them fully and about 90 partially. Palestinians never fail to show us how we can turn despair into hope and action. And this is where I want to give you the update. In Olive Kits, we have been challenged like never before, but we also chose to move into action, and we have continued to deliver every few weeks a project in whatever is available to really help the most needy, and we have been focused a lot on relief. And as we speak, we're delivering what we call an integrated relief project. So we're delivering food parcels, fresh fruit and veg, hygiene kits, and also tarp to help protect people from the heat at this time of the year in Gaza. So this is being distributed as we speak. So we're not going to stop, and we're going to continue to do what we can, as we have been for the last 1,000 days. And the third thing I want to leave you with is for you, is action. Again, when you think of Izzeddin and he chose action, I would like all of us here to choose action. How many of you here emailed your member of parliament? Or every hand should come up. How many of you actually met your member of parliament? Went to the office and met them? Put your hand up. What are your hands? It's in our hands to really do something and take action. How many of you emailed the editors of these corrupt media that Nat was speaking about before? Every hand should come up. There are things that we can do here. It does make a difference. It does create a dent and change the way people operate. We all have a role to play. Object about the military aid. Object about Pine Gap. Object about the support that this government is giving to a genocidal entity. We can do something. Boycott. Speak to your friends, your family. Get them to come here. Take them with you to the members of parliament. We all have responsibility to play, and we should choose action, not despair. Yes, come here, but there's a lot more that we can all do, and now is the time to do it. Always was, always will be. From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Thank you.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Woo! Thanks for that. I think an important message for us in that is that as we stand here, as we keep coming out to protest, as the media and our government try to normalize the atrocity, the genocide that they've been complicit in, we keep in our minds the hundreds of thousands that have lost their lives in Gaza, the scenes of doctors doing press conferences in hospitals amidst piles of dead bodies. Shame! We keep in our mind the video of children in Gaza doing a press conference saying the only thing they want is to lead normal lives, just like children all around the world. Where being born should mean that you are able to live a life of dignity. Everybody around the world, the majority of people want to live lives of dignity and freedom, and this sick system takes it away from them. Shame! So next I'm going to introduce a speaker who's a nurse, Damien. He's a unionist in his workplace, he's a job rep, and he's also an activist who has fought in his workplace for human rights for Palestinians and for the oppressed. And I think it's important we hear from people like this, from workers, about repression, because right now there's a campaign going on in this country, the Royal Commission into anti-Semitism, people might have been following, which the government is using to put our movement for peace and for justice on trial, to slander us as the racists when they are complicit in a real genocide against the Palestinians. So shame on them. So welcome up Damien to the stand.
Thank you so much. Afternoon, thank you for having me. I'm a surgical nurse at a Melbourne hospital here in Naarm, Melbourne. I'm a proud union delegate with the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation, and I went into nursing to help people and make a difference. Nursing gives me perspective, and I'm constantly reminded of how fragile life can be. In November of 2023, I started attending the marches for Palestine on a regular basis. I was horrified at the disproportionate attacks and collective punishment on civilians, healthcare workers, hospitals and civilian infrastructure. At the marches, I met like-minded nurse union members. We formed a group, ANMF for Palestine, behind me and just at the back there, shout out, which consists of unionised nurses and midwives who passionately stand in solidarity with, advocate for and amplify the voices of Palestinian healthcare workers. As unionists, we came together in solidarity with our Palestinian colleagues, having watched in horror as so many healthcare workers have been killed simply trying to do their jobs, refusing to leave their patients behind. We also came together because we believe that our advocacy for Palestine is part of our professional ethical responsibilities to advocate for global health and to work towards equal access to health care. Earlier this year, I undertook a medical mission to Gaza with the Palestinian Australian New Zealand Medical Association, PANSMA. I was deployed for 4 weeks and was allocated to Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza. which is one of the last functioning hospitals in the Gaza Strip. Despite months of planning, it was only the night before, once we were already in Jordan, that my permission from the Israeli authorities to enter Gaza was finally granted. I was the only member of the proposed medical team from Pansma to be given permission to enter. The journey took most of the day. Early that morning, I joined a group of other humanitarian workers from all over the world, representing many NGOs. We then travelled through 3 border crossings, an IDF escort through Israel, and then a UN escort to the Khan Yunis Training College in Gaza. I was allocated to Nasser Hospital operating theatres. The Palestinian healthcare workers I met were warm, kind, generous and welcoming. They had all been displaced many times since 2023 and now lived in cramped, overcrowded tents in the displaced encampments around the city. They've lost family members, friends, their community and their homes. Despite their extremely difficult hardships, my colleagues were always dedicated and worked tirelessly for their patients. They would tell me how they needed to huddle together throughout the night to survive the bitter cold. The tents are freezing in winter and unbearable in the summer. Bomb blast, tank fire, and the ever-present humming of drones were a constant. Some areas of Nasser Hospital were still inaccessible due to bomb damage, and the recovery room where I worked was littered with the evidence of previous sieges and raids by the IDF. There were bullet holes in the windows and grazes on the walls and roof from sniper fire. The monitoring equipment worked sporadically, or in some cases not at all, and single-use items were used until they no longer served their function. Almost 50% of medications were entirely out of stock, and there are shortages of many others. Many essential anaesthesia and pain medications are simply not available. No medical equipment of any kind has been permitted to enter Gaza. Since then. This ban extends to maintenance parts for existing machines. So machines break down, they cannot work or be repaired. There are only 2 CT scanners in the entire Gaza Strip and no MRI machines. Since the October 10 ceasefire announcement, 1,185 people have been killed and 3,816 more injured, according to the Gaza's Ministry of Health. Thousands of critically ill patients or people need urgent evacuation for ongoing treatment. The situation I witnessed was and still is catastrophic. I worked in recovery and anaesthetic alongside doctors, surgeons, nurses and orderlies, and we would manage 10 to 20 cases each day. We would care for patients with blast injuries, traumatic abdominal injuries, limb amputations, trauma emergencies and general surgery procedures. One memory that stays with me is of a 19-year-old who had suffered catastrophic injuries in a bomb blast. I have children of similar age. This young woman had lost one of her legs and her other leg was secured by an external fixation device. She had endured a series of surgeries to repair devastating injuries, and despite her prolonged absence from study caused by this horrifying ordeal, she had recently passed her final school exams. My own daughter is completing her final year at school under very different circumstances. And in a quiet moment, this young woman informed me that she is determined to study medicine as soon as she is well enough. The strength, resilience and emotional honesty of the people amid their profound ongoing trauma is an extraordinarily humbling and moving testament to the spirit of the people of Gaza. To be here to tell of her suffering and courage is why I'm here today. Healthcare workers who go to Gaza must bear witness to what they saw. Australian healthcare workers must be able to speak out against the injustices being inflicted on the Palestinian people and condemn attacks on our Palestinian colleagues and the healthcare system that they work in. But our ability to bear witness is now under pressure. APRA, the governing body for almost 960,000 Australian healthcare workers, recently adopted the controversial IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. They did so without broad consultation of this workforce or their representative bodies. They did so despite substantial widespread concern regarding the definition's application. My union, the ANMF, as well as the Health and Community Services Union, have already called for an immediate suspension of the use of this definition. As unionists, we strongly oppose anti-Semitism and all forms of racial or religious discrimination. We believe the adoption of this definition will not achieve its intended purpose, which is to eliminate anti-Semitism. Instead of it causing unnecessary harm, confusion and concern for nurses and midwives, Instead, it is causing unnecessary harm, confusion and concern for nurses and midwives across the country. Can we speak without fear that our words and advocacy and solidarity will be misconstrued as words of hatred? This adoption of the IHRA definition by APRA risks chilling lawful healthcare advocacy by failing to clearly distinguish criticism of governments, institutions and policies from hostility towards people based on nationality, religion or culture. APRA should regulate genuine discrimination and threats to patient safety without discouraging healthcare workers from speaking publicly about human rights. We must continue advocating for the people of Gaza because this is a matter of applying fundamental principles equally to all people. Beyond survival, the people of Gaza have a right to health care and education, freedom of movement, economic opportunity, and the ability to determine their own future. These are enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I've seen firsthand how the healthcare system in Gaza continues to suffer under occupation by the IDF. To see the suffering inflicted on Palestinians by the IDF and Israeli policies is both infuriating and profoundly sad. Staying silent is not an option. The patients I nursed, the wonderful people I met, and friends I made in Gaza are counting on us. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
There's a few things to announce before our last speaker and then we march. Help deliver the petition, join the protest Friday, 14 August, 4 p.m. State Library of Victoria to march to AHPRA. Also, we have a march in Dandenong against racism in the 16th of August. It's going to be Sunday. Please join that march as well. Also, we have the movement supporting this play. It's called The Return. It says built on a true story of Naarm Abu Samra. If you heard about her, Naarm Abu Samra is a karate Palestinian champion. She should represent the Palestine in the Olympic, but unfortunately, she was killed by Israel. So this play, it's going to tell her story here in Melbourne. Please grab a flyer from the disc, Free Palestine Melbourne disc, and buy the ticket, attend it. There is like a few shows in September 15, 18, 19, 20 and 22nd. So please grab the flyer, buy the ticket and attend the return, okay? Please. Our last speaker, a young lady went to the West Bank particularly to Msafir Yatta, to support our community there who subjected to the violence of the terrorist settlers. She spent 6 months there with them, supporting them and advocate for peace. Please welcome Sahar to the stage.
Can you hear me? Yes. All right. I'm a little nervous and my chest is tight and I've got to cry sitting like right here, so bear with me. Bear with me as I try to get through this. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge that, as mentioned, it wasn't mentioned, but I was born in colonized Palestine, or so-called Israel. And like most Jewish Israelis, I grew up immersed in Zionism and was not spared the indoctrination that led me to serve in the terrorist organization that is the IOF. Something I carry with deep shame every day. I don't share that because this speech today is about me, but because I believe you deserve to know who is standing in front of you, because accountability begins with honesty. But today is not my story to tell. I'm standing here today to amplify the voices of the people of a small village called Khair in the area called Mosafir Yatta in the West Bank. A community whose story reflects a much broader reality across Palestine. You might have heard of these places and you might have heard his name. The story of his murder was shared around the world, but who he really was, wasn't. And unfortunately, his story being shared hasn't helped the community escape the cruel reality they have continued to endure ever since. I wasn't fortunate enough to have met Awder Hadalim, alayhi rahmah, but for the last 6 months, his family has become my family, and through them, I've had the privilege of getting a glimpse of who he was. Not just through photos, videos, and endless stories, but also through the way his legacy, his memory, his presence, his work, and his vision are cherished and continue to live on through his family, his community, and every person who was fortunate enough to fight alongside him. Pain paralyzes me when I think of my dear Hanadi, Awder's beloved wife, who at 25 lost the love of her life, her best friend, and their father to their 3 beautiful and cheeky boys. Watan, their eldest, is 6 years old. He's one of the most emotionally intelligent kids I know. When Hanadi cries, he goes to wipe the tears from her eyes. Muhammad Awder, also known as Hamoudi, is now 4 years old, but was just 3 years old when he was in the loving arms of his father when he was shot. And little Kanan, just 1.5 years old, looks the most like his father, but is too young to have formed any memories of him. On the 28th of July 2025, Awder was inside Khair's community centre doing what he so often did, documenting what was happening to his community. As settlers invaded the village to begin the establishment of a new illegal outpost in the heart of the village, internationally sanctioned settler Inon Levy drew his gun and fired. One of those bullets took Awder's life. Awder filmed his own death. What happened after his murder tells us something about the system that allowed it to happen in the first place. His killer went around the village alongside the occupation forces, pointing out people to be arrested. More than 20 men, Awder's brothers, cousins and friends, were detained for more than a week, were humiliated and tortured. His body was withheld for 10 days. Inon Levy spent only 1 night in custody and remains free till this day. Just days after Awder's murder, he returned to the village and continued the construction of the outpost. This past Tuesday, while Awder's loved ones were commemorating his life and mourning his death, Zionist forces invaded the village during his memorial. Awder's murder and the reality of Khair are not isolated incidents. They are the product of a systematic Zionist structure that backs, protects, and grants impunity to settler terrorists, encouraging attacks against Palestinian communities to continue with no accountability, as part of the ongoing ethnic cleansing and dispossession of Palestinians in pursuit of the Zionist project. Over the last 6 months, I've witnessed this system from up close. I have watched Salem, Elder's oldest brother, being taken away in an ambulance after settler terrorists carried out a pogrom in his backyard, the same land where the outpost established by Inon Levy has been built, as they once again got away with stealing more land and further choking the village. I have watched Elder's 19-year-old nephew being arrested by the IOF for simply filming settlers as they trespassed into the village to put an Israeli flags up on Palestinian homes. I have watched Khaled, Elder's 3-year-old nephew, so small that his head was barely an inch below the rifle of the soldier standing in front of him, while that soldier protected settlers as they attacked the village. I stood among men, women, children, elders, and activists as we were pushed into a sheep pen, like animals, by the apartheid forces, while allowing the settlers to continue committing more crimes in Salem's backyard. I have watched the cuts forming on my friends' hands as they hung on to the barbed wire being moved by settlers to determine new borders between the village and the outpost. I have watched the courageous children of Al Khair protest at the fence that settlers put up on the road on the way to school, a fence designed to deprive them of their right to education. These are just a few of my experiences in Al Khair. In the whole of my Safariyata area, in the past 6 months, I have witnessed the establishment of 4 illegal outposts, the theft of livestock and harvests, the arson of cars and homes, violent illegal arrests, land theft, home demolitions, live ammunition, stone throwing, invasions, the killing of livestock, the destruction of essential infrastructure, the daily humiliation, harassment, and terrorization of Palestinian communities. And this is only accelerating by the day. Imagine the resilience it takes to survive this every day for a lifetime. This is the story of just one village in the West Bank, but in Palestine, everyone has an order in their life. Since October 7th, 62 Palestinian communities have been forcibly displaced across the West Bank, and more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed. Every one of these people was a whole universe. I'd like to read a piece by Tarek Adalin, Elder's cousin and close friend. 1 year, 365 days, yet I still cannot convince my heart that you are gone. I've written about demolished homes, I've written about children crying in the middle of the night. I've written about soldiers, settlers, checkpoints, roadblocks, dying sheep, uprooted trees, and villages slowly disappearing from the map. But today I cannot write, because this is not another story, this is you, my brother, my friend, Alde. People ask me if time heals. It doesn't. It only teaches you how to carry a wound that never closes. For an entire year, I've searched for you in a very familiar place. In every dusty road of Al Khair, in every cup of tea shared with friends, in every sunset over our hills. Sometimes I still catch myself thinking, I have to call Alde. Then reality strikes me again and I die one more time. The world knew your name. They knew the activist, the defender, the man who stood between his community and justice with nothing but courage and truth. I knew the man, the human being behind all of that. The man whose laugh could lift the weight off an impossible day, the friend who never walked away when someone needed him, the soul who carried the pain of an entire people but still found the room in his heart to make others smile. Today, I'm not asking the world for sympathy. I'm asking for something much simpler. See us, see our humanity, see that our grief is real. Palestinians do not bury statistics, we bury the people we love. As long as I breathe, I will speak your name. Alde Hadalin lived, he loved, he mattered, and he always will. Woo! 20-year-old Ishdia, Alde's cousin, who has become my little brother, asked me before I left, "Why are you leaving?" It took me some time to get the words out because I knew that the true answer wasn't as simple as, because my university semester is starting in July. It was an answer that I've been avoiding, an answer I didn't want to admit to myself and definitely not to Ijdia, which is because I can. Since coming back to so-called Australia, I've been struggling to comprehend how these two realities could exist simultaneously. Why do I have the option of escaping to safety while people I love have only the option of fighting to survive another day? Who am I to choose comfort when I know the terrorizing feeling of every minute of every day in Masafariata as families await the next attack? How dare I? How dare we? If they don't have the option of giving up, neither do we. If they don't have the option of not living under occupation or through a genocide, we shouldn't have the option of not doing everything in our power to fight for their freedom. If fighting for Palestine hasn't required sacrifice from you, I think you should be asking yourself, have I been doing enough? We can all do more. We must all do more. Raise your voice for those who are silenced. Use your privileges to do what others can't. Visit Palestine, sit for yourself. If you're interested in participating in Solidarity Presence in the West Bank, please find me during the march. I'll be holding this sign. Glory to the martyrs, justice for Odeh Habalin, may his memory be a revolution. Abolish Zionism, fuck Israel, and free Palestine. Thank you.
All right, there's a lot of us here right now, and we're about to march, so let's do a chant really loud so everybody can hear us. Israel out of West Bank! Israel out of Gaza! Israel out of Lebanon! Long live the Intifada! Long live the Intifada! Long live the Intifada! Woo, thank you so much for that moving speech, Shahar. All of us here, we've come out again and again since 2023, 3 years in now, and we are still standing here demanding justice and liberation. And this system that we live under, this sick, violent, barbaric system where the people who rule our world decide to bomb, to invade, to starve the Palestinians, the people all over the region, for profits, for war, we will keep coming out to fight against them, won't we? Before we march, I want to do a shout out for a really important protest that's happening tomorrow night at 5 o'clock in Hawthorne. Have people heard that Pauline Hanson is going to be launching the Victorian campaign for One Nation tomorrow night? Shame! Right here on our streets, shame! One Nation is surging in the polls. They are polling 30%. If there was an election tomorrow, Pauline Hanson might become the Prime Minister of this country. What a disgrace is that? She is being platformed by the political establishment, by the media, to say that Islam is a cancer that needs to be cut out of our society. What a disgrace, shame! Saying that everybody, all of the refugees, the small amount of refugees, might I add, that have been let into this country from Gaza are the reason that there's an anti-Semitism crisis in this country, that they all support our caliphate. What a racist disgrace is that, shame? She's going to be coming to Hawthorne tomorrow night at 5 o'clock to launch all of the Victorian candidates for One Nation, 88 of them, shame? So we're going to be there at their event at 5 o'clock to protest them, to say Melbourne, Naarm is an anti-racist town. We do not stand for Islamophobia, for fascism, for misogyny, for sexism, for racism. So who's going to be there tomorrow night?
from the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
There's nothing wrong with Renee's lungs.
Yeah, nothing on there at all.
I don't want to be anyway.
Hey, how you going?
How you going?
All right.
Yeah, good. I'm still here.
Okay, still here.
I'm not leaving. I saw the talk yesterday with Father Yusuf Khoury and Yusuf Al-Mali.
Okay.
It was really good. It was really good. I recorded it so we can play it back at PCR and
Because that was
with
saw that
Pyle.
at the last minute up on the Facebook page.
That was with Pyle and Palestinian Christians in Australia. So Mel Potter was there. Sarah Wahab was there.
So you video recorded that?
Nah, just the audio.
Just the audio. Because I could get that up onto our YouTube.
I think Veronica was recording it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it might be on there. They'll post it up on their YouTube eventually.
Okay.
So, singing your device. Jump on the song.
Oh, yeah.
So is it going to
We're going to Flinders Street Station and then coming back to the library. You're going to know? What's that?
Does that mean they would be able to sit here?
I've got a funny feeling they're going to style because one son had asked for something that wasn't
Ask them too.
because of the store.
Why the always
Sorry.
He's been a little bit
That surprise is there, eh?
Hey, how you going?
I've seen the nasty pushback on social media too, Facebook. All the trolling.
I was quite surprised. I was almost going to turn the comments on. Somebody put, this year somebody
It's like 200. It's like 200. Something's going on with
given all the money that they've spent on it. Good to see you back safe and sound. I'm alright apart from stupid things.
Yeah,
I'm okay, I'll never do it. 6 months to go. Gonna be anyway. So I'll pick him up on YouTube in a couple of days. The download there, the upload there. So that's a
Don't ask. Steel is like she's not. She's sick. It's like that's her. She's based there. It's been a while. Like change. I got my next course. Yeah.
So that'll be at the end of so Christmas coming in the middle of semester.
Yeah.
Palestine will be free.
From the sea to the river. Free the people, free the land.
Join in.
Justice is not in bed. Free the people, free the land. Liberation we demand. Palestine will live forever. Palestine will live forever.
liberate Palestine from the river to the sea until no Zionists stay in Palestine at all. And we are here to support them in every single thing we can.
And then, yeah, there's also
everywhere we can. In every single section we can. However we can. We're not going to stop at all supporting them. It's up to them. The decision, only their decision. No one was sleeping in their house under their condition has a right to point a finger at them at all. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! أنا راجع أنا راجع أنا راجع أنا راجع والله راجع يا بلادي راجع يا ناسي راجع يا أهلي
Funny that.
2 arms and a torso. Find out how to get these shirts by a donation by 2 arms and a torso on Instagram.
Victorian candidates. Shame! Shame, One Nation, shame! At the end of August, there's going to also be something called Fight for Australia, which is the same racist, fascist scum who took over the streets of Naarm and attacked Camp Sovereignty last August. Shame! So let's chant, since we're all here, and the streets are indigenous streets. These are Naarm streets, these are black streets, these are migrant streets. Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets! And another one, fascist scum off our streets! 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 And we're ready for the end of August to take command once again, because we will not cede this city to the forces of fascism and racism that want us in the ground. That's what they want. They want black people killed. They want people of color not to exist. And this is black country. So Black Nation means all of you stand with the indigenous people. You stand against fascism and you don't allow these forces to win. We will win and we will win. Fascist scum! Off our streets! Fascist scum! Off our streets! Fascist scum! Off our streets!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free, free Gaza!
Free, free, free Gaza!
Well, thank you everyone again for marching with us today. It's another Sunday in another week, in another month, in another year of ongoing genocide on our Palestinian people. And we will not stop. We will not stop coming here in the middle of Melbourne to raise our voices against injustice and to stand for the freedom of the Palestinian people. As well, we will never forget our beloved Lebanese people who sacrificed their life to protect their country. The Syrian who stood fast to defend their country and get bombed by Israel. And the Iranian people, innocent people who been killed for no reason, just for being there on their land. We will never forget the 164 school girl, aged between 6 to 12, killed by a Tomahawk American rocket. We will not forget those atrocities, and we will not normalize those attacks, those crimes, and this intent of genocide against innocent people in the Middle East. The attack not only on the Palestinian people, the attack will be on everyone who stands for Palestine. Because Palestine is the test for all of us. And if we don't pass that test, we will not pass our humanity, our morality, and our principle test. Therefore, we are here every month, every week, every day, and every time we need you to come here and raise your voice against this complicit government, against the governments around the world who let the Zionists to attack the innocent Palestinian people, massacre them, genocide them, ethnically cleanse them with no accountability and with no mercy. If we don't stand for them, who will do? Who will do stand for them? And this is a call for every single human being. You should stand for humanity, for this principle of being a human, to be a moral, to take a moral stand, to stand with innocent people. Because this time on Palestine, next time it is you. So to prevent being attacked by this system, we need to raise our voices for freedom, for justice, and for peace. All we want as Palestinian people, all we want is to be free in our land, to have the right to live in dignity and freedom in our houses, to return to our stolen land, and to raise our children, our generation, on the love of this land, the land of Palestine, the land of prophets, the sacred land that include everyone, not only us as Muslims or us as Christian or Jewish, but it's for everyone, but it is Palestinian land. And it will stay Palestine no matter what they call it. It will be Palestine from the river to the sea. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Gaza! Free Gaza! Free the West Bank! Free the West Bank! We will march back again to the State Library of Victoria. Please march back with us!
Can we please make space to the trolley to get to the front, and the drummers, please? Turn the
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll have to sign out now. Keep up the work. See you next time.